Hello everyone, my name is Oscar Witemea, and welcome to part 2 of AWS CLI, AWS SDK, and AWS IAM Roles and Policies. If you watched the previous video, then you'll know that in this video, we're going to be going over some practical uses or implementations of these programs and services. So just a quick overview of what we went through last video. We went through some of the introduction of AWS Access Management, followed by some of the key concepts that we will be using around in this three-part series, and then a quick rundown on how AWS authentication works. Now, on, now we're going to go over some AWS CLI overview. So CLI is a command line tool for AWS. This command line interface is best used for any automation or any scripting, and this tool works best when the credentials are stored locally. Some of the key examples for this tool are launching EC2 instances or managing any S3 buckets. And then now we have AWS CLI profiles and multi-factor authentication. So profiles are just critical for when you are storing multiple credentials. And what's good about profiles in this case is that it allows users to switch between accounts really easily. So let's say that, for instance, you have a admin profile, and you're testing out some new, let's say, rules or permissions, but you want to get a better idea of how it'll look. You can just simply swap to a profile that has like a certain set of permissions, and from there you'll be able to see what that profile will be able to see. Now, multi-factor authentication is just an additional security layer that you can add to the instance. This requires temporary sessions tokens, which can only be obtained through the CLI. So MFA is just an overall security enhancement, and it is always recommended to take no matter what. Now, over here we have EC2 instance metadata. So metadata is accessible from within the instance. Metadata does not require credentials, and what the metadata provides when it is pooled is that it provides the instance ID, the IAM role credentials, and then some region info as well. Now, over here we have AWS SDK overview. So SDK is available in multiple languages, which include but are not limited to Python, JavaScript, or just Java. Now, what SDK does is that it automates API calls, and it also handles authentications automatically, which overall improves efficiency and even some security as well. Now, the next slide over here, we have the credentials provider chain. So what it does, so it is a certain order that it looks up the credentials. And over here we have like the three-step credential lookup, order of lookup, I mean. So first it'll read any environmental variables, and then it'll read any shared credential files, followed by IAM roles. So what's useful about the credentials provider chain is that it ensures flexibility and security for the instance. And this also avoids any hard-coded credentials, as it'll always look up for different credentials or any shared credential files. And then the next one, we have the exponential backup and rate limits. So we did go over SDK, which automates API calls. However, you have to be careful when using the automated API calls, because if you are not careful with them, you'll have a scenario where you will be making too many frequent API calls that will then happen to overload the system. So in order to avoid this, we have the backup and rate limits. So what you can do is that what an exponential backup does is it helps prevent hitting the limits by, instead of asking a lot of API calls at the same time, it'll then wait longer between retries on the requests. And as I was talking about system overloads, it prevents any potential system overloads to occur. Some examples is that you can read that the automated API calls can retry after 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, or 5 seconds. But it's not limited to just these numbers. You could put it for as long as you want.